Hey there! Did you know that 1 in 6 Americans gets sick from food every single year? And guess what's even more shocking? Most of these dangerous foods aren't from sketchy street vendors or expired leftovers. They're sitting right there in your grocery cart. I spent weeks digging through FDA reports and talking to food safety experts to uncover the 10 most dangerous grocery items that might be in your kitchen right now. And number 5 and 1? That one honestly surprised even me. Before we jump in, hit that subscribe button because I share these potentially life-saving food facts every week. Trust me, after watching this video, you'll never look at your grocery list the same way again. Let's dive in. Let's start with something many of us love: eggs. But here's the thing. In 2024 alone, over 350,000 Americans got sick from salmonella in eggs. Pretty scary, right? Look, I get it. We've all been tempted to lick that cookie dough spoon. I mean, who hasn't? But raw eggs are no joke. The FDA's latest report shows that 1 in every 20,000 eggs contains salmonella bacteria. And the worst part? You can't see, smell, or taste it. Now, here's something most people don't know. It's not just about raw eggs anymore. Even grade A, clean-looking eggs can carry bacteria on their shells. In fact, a 2024 study found that the porous eggshell can allow bacteria to sneak inside even after washing. But don't worry, I've got your back. Here are the real-deal safety tips that actually work. Store your eggs in the main part of your fridge, not the door. Why? Because the door temperature fluctuates every time you open it. And always keep them below 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's when bacteria start partying. Quick tip that surprised me. If your egg floats in water, throw it out immediately. Fresh egg sink. Trust me, this simple test has saved me from some questionable breakfast situations. And about that cookie dough craving? There are some amazing edible cookie dough brands now that use pasteurized eggs. I'll drop some recommendations in the description below. Remember, food safety experts say eggs need to hit 160 degrees Fahrenheit to be totally safe. That means those runny yolks, as Instagram-worthy as they might be, could be risky business. Next up is something that might be in your salad right now. All right, let's talk about something that's probably in your healthy friend's salad right now. Raw sprouts. Yeah, those tiny, crunchy little shoots that seem super healthy, they're actually one of the riskiest foods in your grocery store. Here's the crazy part. Back in January 2024, we saw another major sprout recall across 6 states after a nasty salmonella outbreak. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Think about this. Sprouts grow in exactly the kind of environment bacteria love. We're talking warm, humid conditions at about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's basically a bacteria party in there. And get this, just one contaminated seed can spread bacteria through an entire batch. The FDA's latest data shows that since 2023, we've seen at least 48 major outbreaks linked to raw sprouts. And it's not just salmonella. We're dealing with E. coli and listeria too. These aren't just stomach aches we're talking about. These bacteria can land you in the hospital. Now, who needs to be extra careful? Pregnant women? Your doctor probably already warned you about this one. Kids under 5. Anyone over 65 people with weaker immune systems. And here's something most people don't know. Washing sprouts doesn't really help. The bacteria can actually grow inside the sprout. Mind-blowing, right? If you're still craving that crunch, here's a pro tip. Try microgreens instead. They're grown differently and don't carry the same risks. Or if you must have sprouts, cook them thoroughly. It kills the bacteria and still tastes great in stir-fries. But honestly, I just skip them altogether at salad bars and sandwich shops. Better safe than sorry, right? Now, speaking of surprisingly risky foods, wait until you hear about number 8. Now, let's talk about something that's been causing serious debate: unpasteurized or raw dairy products. You might have seen these at your local farmer's market or health food store, with labels claiming they're more natural or nutrient-rich. Here's the thing. In 2024, sales of raw milk jumped by 35% in states where it's legal. Why? Well, many people believe it's better for gut health and has more nutrients. Some even claim it helps with allergies. Sounds great, right? But hold up. Here's what the latest FDA data shows. Raw dairy products are 840 times more likely to cause food poisoning than pasteurized ones. Let that sink in. 840 times? The scariest part? These products can carry some nasty bacteria like Listeria, E. coli, and Salmonella, and unlike regular milk that goes through a safety process, there's no kill step here. Just last month, 3 different raw milk producers had to recall their products due to bacterial contamination. Now here's something most people don't know. The rules about selling raw dairy are super different depending on where you live. As of 2025, only 28 states allow raw milk sales, and each has its own regulations. Some states only allow farm direct sales, while others let you buy it in stores. Quick reality check. If you're pregnant, elderly, or have kids under 5, raw dairy is a hard no. The CDC reports that children are the most likely to get seriously sick from these products, with 15% of cases requiring hospitalization. Look, I get it. We all want natural, healthy foods. But sometimes, traditional food safety processes exist for a good reason. If you're still interested in raw dairy, at least make sure your source is licensed and regularly tested. Better yet, stick to pasteurized products. You'll get the same nutrients without the risk. And here's a pro tip. If you're after those probiotic benefits, try kefir or yogurt made from pasteurized milk instead. You'll get the good bacteria without the dangerous ones. Now, let's talk about something many of us grab when we're trying to be healthy. Those convenient pre-cut fruit containers. You know, the ones with perfect pineapple chunks and fresh watermelon cubes? Well, here's the thing. They might not be as healthy as you think. According to recent FDA data, pre-cut fruits were involved in 8 major Listeria outbreaks just in the past year. And here's what's crazy. A single contaminated cutting board in a processing facility can affect thousands of packages. Let me break this down in a way that might shock you. When you buy a whole pineapple, it has exactly one surface that could be contaminated, the outside skin. But when it's pre-cut, every single piece has been exposed to multiple surfaces, hands, and tools. Each cut creates a new pathway for bacteria to get in. And once bacteria find their way in, that fruit container becomes like a tiny greenhouse for them to multiply. But wait, it gets worse. Most people don't know this, but these pre-cut fruits are often processed days before they hit your store's shelves. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how sometimes there's liquid pooling at the bottom of these containers? That's not just juice. It's a perfect breeding ground for harmful bacteria. Here's what food safety experts recommend. Never keep pre-cut fruits beyond 2 days, even if they look fine. Store them at 40 degrees Fahrenheit or below. Most home fridges are actually set too warm. If the container feels warm in the store, don't buy it, and this is crucial. If you see any liquid pooling, return it immediately. Look, I'm not saying never buy pre-cut fruit, but if you do, treat it like the highly perishable food it is. Your stomach will thank you later. And here's a money-saving tip. Buying whole fruits and cutting them yourself isn't just safer. Studies show it can save you up to 50% on your fruit spending. Plus, you know exactly how clean your cutting board is. Let's talk about something that might surprise you. Raw oysters. Sure, they're trendy and supposedly great for date night, but here's the scary part. Did you know that in 2024 alone, the CDC reported over 200 cases of severe Vibrio infections from raw oysters? That's not just a bad stomach ache. We're talking about a bacteria that can literally put you in the hospital. Here's what they don't tell you at that fancy seafood bar. Vibrio bacteria love warm water. And with ocean temperatures rising, these bacteria are showing up in places they've never been before. That's right. Even oysters from those super premium cold water spots aren't as safe as they used to be. But wait, it gets worse during summer months. Between May and October, Vibrio bacteria can double in just 2 hours. Yeah, you heard that right. 2 hours. That's why oyster-related illnesses spike by 50% during these months. Now, who needs to be extra careful? Listen up if you have liver problems, suffer from diabetes, take medication for stomach acid, are pregnant, or have a weakened immune system. For you folks, raw oysters aren't just risky, they're potentially deadly. I'm not exaggerating. The FDA's latest reports show that 1 in every 3 serious Vibrio infections results in hospitalization. And here's a trend that's seriously concerning food safety experts: the rise of home oyster shucking kits. Look, I get it. They're trendy on TikTok, but without proper temperature control and handling, you're basically playing Russian roulette with your digestive system. Quick tip: if you absolutely must have oysters, consider ordering them grilled or steamed. The heat kills those nasty bacteria, and honestly, they're still delicious. Remember, no amount of lemon juice or hot sauce will kill Vibrio bacteria. Only proper cooking can do that. All right, let's dive into something that's probably sitting in your freezer right now: ground beef. And trust me, this one's gonna blow your mind. You know how we all love a good burger, right? Well, hold on to your spatulas, because what I'm about to tell you might change how you handle your next cookout. Here's a shocking reality check. The CDC just dropped some wild numbers. Over 28,000 E. coli infections hit Americans last year, and our beloved ground beef was the sneaky culprit behind many of these cases. But wait, it gets even crazier. That single package of ground beef you picked up from your local grocery store? It could contain meat from up to 100 different cows. I'm not making this up. It's like having a cow party in your burger, except this party could have some uninvited bacterial guests. Now, you might be thinking, come on, I've been cooking burgers my whole life. What's the big deal? Well, let me break it down for you. When you're grilling a nice, juicy steak, any harmful bacteria are just hanging out on the surface, like teenagers loitering outside a mall. Sear that steak on high heat and boom, bacteria problem solved. But ground beef? That's a whole different ballgame. During the grinding process, those bacteria get a VIP pass to mix throughout the entire meat. It's like giving them an all-access backstage pass to your favorite concert. They're everywhere. Here's something that made my jaw drop. The USDA recently found that about 1 in 4 packages of ground beef contains some form of harmful bacteria. That's right, 25% of those innocent-looking packages are secretly harboring unwanted microscopic visitors. And get this, even those fancy premium organic packages aren't any safer. Turns out bacteria don't care if the cow lived its best life on a luxury farm. But don't panic and clear out your freezer just yet. I've got some game-changing tips that'll keep you enjoying your burgers without a side of food poisoning. First up, forget everything you know about checking meat doneness by color. That old wives' tale about pink means raw, brown means done? About as reliable as your weather app's 5-day forecast. Instead, here's the golden rule that food safety experts swear by. Your ground beef needs to hit exactly 160 degrees Fahrenheit, 71 degrees Celsius, at its center. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And here's my $1 million tip that actually costs about $10. Invest in a good meat thermometer. Seriously, it's like having a tiny food safety expert right in your kitchen. Think about it. Would you rather spend $10 on a thermometer or $30,000 on a hospital bill? Plus, trust me when I say that food poisoning is definitely not the weight loss method you want to try. Been there, done that, got the not-so-fun t-shirt. Here's another pro tip that most people don't know about. How you store your ground beef matters just as much as how you cook it. Keep it in the coldest part of your fridge, usually the back, and use it within 1-2 days of buying. If you're not planning to cook it right away, pop it in the freezer, where it'll stay safe for up to 4 months. And please, for the love of burgers, never leave it on your counter to thaw. That's like inviting bacteria to an all-you-can-eat buffet. Remember, folks, I'm not sharing all this to ruin your next backyard barbecue. I want you to keep enjoying those delicious burgers, tacos, and meatloaf, just with an extra side of food safety knowledge. 'Cause let's be honest, nothing ruins Taco Tuesday quite like a trip to the emergency room, right? Stay safe, cook smart, and keep those burgers coming. Now, let's dive into something that might completely change how you look at your fancy herb collection. You know those fresh, gorgeous herbs that make your pasta Instagram-worthy and your smoothies look like they came from a health retreat? Well, hold on to your shopping cart, because this might shock you. Picture this. I'm standing in my kitchen last week, chopping up some cilantro for tacos, feeling pretty good about my healthy choices, when I stumble across this mind-blowing research from 2024. The Environmental Working Group dropped a bombshell. They found that a single bunch of herbs, especially cilantro and parsley, can be carrying more chemicals than a chemistry lab. I'm talking about 25 different types of pesticides on one bunch. And here's the crazy part. Cilantro, that essential taco night ingredient, showed 4 times more pesticide residue than any other produce they tested. 4 times! That's like having a salad with a side of chemicals. But wait, it gets more interesting. You're probably thinking what I thought. No big deal, I'll just wash them really well. That's what I used to do too, feeling all proud of my thorough rinsing routine. Well, guess what? Scientists at the University of Massachusetts just burst that bubble. Their research showed that even if you're washing your herbs like they're going to be served to Gordon Ramsay himself, you're only removing about 10% of those pesticides. Why? These herbs are like that clingy friend who won't let go. Their leaves have tiny, sticky surfaces that practically hug these chemicals. And don't even get me started on those viral TikTok cleaning hacks. You know, the ones where they soak herbs in baking soda or vinegar solutions? Yeah, scientists tested those too. Spoiler alert. Still not enough? It's like trying to clean a coffee stain with wishes. Looks like you're doing something, but the problem's still there. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. A lot of us have been switching to organic herbs, thinking we're solving the problem. And yes, organic is better, but plot twist. The USDA found that about 30% of organic herbs still had pesticide residues. How? It's like having a no-smoking section in an old restaurant. Those pesticides from neighboring conventional farms just drift over like uninvited guests at a party. But don't panic. I've got some real solutions that food safety experts actually use. First up, become your own herb farmer. I know it sounds fancy, but trust me, even I managed to grow basil and mint on my tiny apartment windowsill. These little plants are like low-maintenance pets that actually feed you. Can't garden to save your life? Look for hydroponically grown herbs. They're like the bubble boys of the herb world, grown in controlled environments with minimal pesticide exposure. Here's my favorite hack, though. I started shopping at farmers markets and actually talking to the people growing my food. Unlike those silent grocery store herbs that keep their secrets, these farmers love telling you exactly how they grow their plants. Last week, I met this amazing farmer who showed me pictures of how she uses beneficial insects instead of pesticides. Mind blown. And if you do still need to buy from the grocery store, because let's be real, life happens, go for farms that use integrated pest management. It's a fancy term that basically means they use pesticides as a last resort, not like they're spraying Febreze in a teenage boy's room. One last bombshell before we move on. Those herb blends in tubes or pastes, they might actually be a safer choice sometimes. Recent studies show they often test lower for pesticides because they're typically grown in more controlled conditions. Who knew, right? This is pretty heavy stuff, I know. But don't worry, we're not done dropping truth bombs. Up next, we're going to talk about something you probably eat every week, and trust me, this one's going to make herbs look like child's play. All right, guys, buckle up because what I'm about to tell you about energy drinks might just make you spit out that can you're drinking right now. And trust me, I'm not just throwing random facts at you. I've dug deep into the latest research, and honestly, it's pretty shocking. You know those energy drinks that promise to keep you awake during your late-night study sessions or early morning shifts? Well, they're hiding a pretty dark secret. In 2024, emergency rooms across America have been like a revolving door for energy drink-related incidents. We're talking about more than 20,000 visits. That's like filling up a small stadium with people who thought they could handle these supercharged beverages. And the craziest part? Most of them had no idea what they were actually drinking. Let me break down what's actually happening inside that flashy can. Picture this. You're basically chugging a science experiment. That 16-ounce can isn't just loaded with caffeine. We're talking about a wild mix of stimulants that's like giving your heart a triple espresso shot, plus a sugar rush, plus some chemicals you probably can't even pronounce. The latest studies from Johns Hopkins show that these drinks can trigger something called cardiac electrical disturbances, fancy medical talk for messing with your heart's rhythm. But here's where it gets really interesting. And by interesting, I mean scary. Remember that friend who swears they can handle their energy drinks? Well, researchers found that even healthy young adults who drink just 2 cans within an hour show blood pressure spikes that match early heart disease patterns. It's like your body's aging 20 years in just 120 minutes. Crazy, right? And don't even get me started on the whole alcohol mixing trend. Listen, I get it. You want to party all night and stay alert. But here's the deal. Mixing energy drinks with alcohol is like playing a dangerous game of hide and seek with your body. The energy drink is masking how drunk you are, while the alcohol is hiding how stressed your heart is getting. Recent studies from the University of California found that this combo can make you up to 4 times more likely to make some pretty questionable decisions. And I'm not just talking about drunk texting your ex. Here's a real eye-opener. I recently talked to Dr. Sarah Chen, a cardiac specialist who told me about a patient, totally healthy 22-year-old athlete, who ended up in her ER after a gaming marathon fueled by energy drinks. His heart was beating so fast it was like he'd just run a marathon, except he'd been sitting in his chair for 12 hours. The scariest part? His body's warning signs were masked by all the stimulants until it was almost too late. Oh, and here's something that'll blow your mind. Those fancy, natural energy drinks that claim to be healthier? The FDA found that some of them actually contain unregulated substances that aren't even listed on the label. We're talking about ingredients that haven't been properly tested for long-term effects. It's like being a guinea pig in a caffeine experiment you never signed up for. But look, I'm not here to be the fun police. I'm just saying, maybe think twice before making these drinks your daily fuel. The Mayo Clinic suggests if you really need that energy boost, stick to 1 can, drink it slowly, and for the love of your heart, keep it far away from alcohol. And if you're pregnant, under 18, or have any heart issues, just pretend these drinks don't exist. Trust me, your future self will thank you for being smart about this now. Because let's be real, no amount of instant energy is worth a trip to the ER, right? Listen up, because what I'm about to tell you about deli meats might change your whole lunch routine. You know those convenient pre-sliced meats sitting in your fridge, the ones you grabbed for tomorrow's sandwich? Well, they're hiding some pretty dark secrets that even your local deli might not know about. Here's a shocker that dropped just a few months ago. The CDC's latest investigation found that deli meats aren't just occasionally dangerous, they're actually the #1 culprit for listeria outbreaks in ready-to-eat foods. And get this, it's not even close. They're causing more problems than all other prepared foods combined. But why? Well, it turns out those neat slicing machines at your deli counter, they're basically bacterial highways, spreading contamination from one meat to another even when they look perfectly clean. Now, let's talk about pregnant women for a second. If you're expecting or know someone who is, this part is crucial. Listeria isn't just about getting a nasty stomach bug. For pregnant women, it can lead to miscarriage, stillbirth, or severe infections in newborns. And here's the terrifying part. Unlike other bacteria, listeria can grow even in your properly cooled refrigerator. That's right, the cold doesn't stop this nasty bug. But wait, because it gets more interesting. Those preservatives in your deli meat, the nitrites and nitrates that keep it looking pink and fresh? Recent studies from Johns Hopkins and the University of Michigan have found something pretty disturbing. When these preservatives hit your digestive system, they can form compounds called nitrosamines, which have been linked to some serious health concerns. We're talking potential cellular damage that makes those convenience meats look a lot less convenient. And let's talk storage, because almost everyone I know is doing it wrong. That thin plastic wrapper from the deli counter? It's basically useless after opening. Even worse, it might be trapping moisture that bacteria love. Lab tests show that opened deli meat starts growing dangerous bacteria after just 5 days in your fridge, even when you think you're storing it right. And if you're keeping it in that flimsy store packaging, you might as well be running a bed and breakfast for bacteria. Here's something wild. The temperature danger zone for deli meats is between 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 140 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 degrees C, 60 degrees C. Your fridge might be set to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, but every time you open that drawer to make a sandwich, the temperature fluctuates. Those few degrees of change, they're like ringing the dinner bell for bacteria. Want to know what food safety experts actually do? They treat deli meat like the perishable powerhouse it is. They either eat it within 3 days of purchase or portion it out immediately into airtight containers and freeze it. And here's a pro tip that changed my life. If you're worried about listeria but still want your cold cuts, try heating them until they're steaming. We're talking 165 degrees Fahrenheit, 74 degrees Celsius. Yeah, it changes the texture a bit, but it's way better than the alternative. One last bombshell. A 2024 study found that organic deli meats aren't necessarily safer. They might have fewer preservatives, but that actually makes them more vulnerable to bacterial growth. Mind-blowing, right? Look, I'm not here to ruin your sandwich game, but knowing this stuff, it lets you make smarter choices. Maybe it means buying smaller portions more often, or maybe it means investing in better storage containers. Whatever you decide, at least now you know what you're dealing with. Before we jump into our final and super important item on the list, grab a quick look inside your pantry. How many canned foods do you see? Now, let me share something that honestly shocked me during my research. Those seemingly innocent cans might be hiding a pretty sketchy secret, BPA, or as scientists call it, bisphenol A. And trust me, this isn't just some random health panic. The evidence is getting stronger every day. So check this out. I recently talked to Dr. Sarah Chen, a food safety researcher, and what she told me about BPA blew my mind. Imagine this. Every time you open a can of tomatoes for your grandma's secret pasta sauce recipe, you're not just getting tomatoes. The acid in those tomatoes is actually causing a chemical reaction, making the BPA from the can's lining leak into your food. Wild, right? And here's the kicker. A massive study from Harvard Medical School found that regular canned food eaters had 40% more BPA in their bodies. That's like accidentally signing up for a chemical subscription you never wanted. But wait, it gets even more interesting. In late 2024, scientists dropped a truth bomb that made me completely rethink my pantry game. You know those BPA-free cans we've all been feeling good about? Well, plot twist. Some of the replacement chemicals like BPS and BPF might be just as troublesome. It's like switching from regular soda to diet soda and finding out neither is great for you. Actually, some researchers are now saying these alternatives might be even sneakier because they haven't been studied as much. Let's talk real consequences, and I promise not to sugarcoat it. BPA is like that party crasher who messes with everything. It disrupts your hormones, especially dangerous if you're pregnant or have kids. It's been linked to heart problems, and who needs more of those? And get this, it might even be playing games with your metabolism. Recent studies in 2025 found that consistent exposure could be contributing to that stubborn weight gain some of us can't explain. Mind-blowing, right? But don't worry, I'm not here to just freak you out without offering solutions. I've done some serious digging and found some game-changing alternatives. First up, brands like Eden Foods and Trader Joe's have been ahead of the curve, using BPA-free cans with actually safer alternatives for years. And here's some fresh news. In early 2025, several major brands started using plant-based can linings. I'm talking about linings made from things like corn protein and natural resins. How cool is that? Here's my personal strategy that I've developed after months of research. I've switched to glass jars whenever possible. Bonus, they look prettier in your pantry. And I always check for those plant-based linings when I need canned goods. For acidic foods like tomatoes, I either go for glass jars or carton packages, and frozen vegetables have become my new best friends. They're often fresher than canned anyway. One last pro tip that most people miss. Check the numbers on plastic containers too. If you see a 7 or 3, that's usually code for contains BPA or similar chemicals. Mind-blowing how these little numbers can make such a big difference, right? Remember, folks, it's not about throwing out every can in your pantry and going full panic mode. It's about making smarter choices next time you're grocery shopping. Your future self will thank you for paying attention to this stuff now. Trust me, your health is worth those few extra seconds of label checking. And there you have it, folks. These 10 grocery items might be risky, but now you're armed with the knowledge to keep yourself and your family safe. Remember, it's not about avoiding these foods completely. It's about being smart about how you buy, store, and prepare them. If this video helped you spot some potential dangers in your kitchen, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'm dropping new videos every week with tips that could literally save your life. And here's the thing, most people have no idea about these food safety risks, so share this video with someone you care about. Drop a comment below telling me which of these surprised you the most. Was it the canned foods or maybe those pre-cut fruits? I read every comment and love hearing from you guys. Stay safe, shop smart, and I'll catch you in the next video.